The best way to move on from a long-term relationship resembles ego death. And the reason it resembles ego death is that the part of you that has been judging her, grading her, auditing her, ranking her, comparing her to other women in your head, building a model of where she sits in your hierarchy of worth, this is your ego. Judging her was the entire job your ego has been doing while it was with her. It was sorting her in real time. It was running her behavior through a filter every day. The filter is what we call the ego, and the filter is what has to die. When she leaves, this filter goes into overdrive. Now it has to resort the entire relationship in retrospect. It has to find some explanation. It has to locate the fault. It has to file her away in some category that lets your ego stay intact. Most men spend years inside of this resorting process. A small number of men let the filter finally exhaust itself. These are the men that I'm going to talk about. This is kind of where I have arrived at. So there are roughly 4 outcomes after some devastating breakup, and you are statistically going to land in one of them. The first, the most common, is worse for a long time. You drink more, you sleep with women who don't matter to you, you become harder to be around, you make jokes about your ex that aren't really jokes, you begin to collect all this evidence that women are not to be trusted, and the evidence accumulates in your nervous system whether you consciously consent to it or not. The ego, threatened by the loss, doubled its judging output to compensate. You re-enter dating carrying this small suitcase of grievances, and you unpack it with every woman that you meet, whether you realize it or not. The second outcome is the swear off. You decide women are not worth the trouble. You go monk mode. You hit the gym, you build a business, you read the books, you tell yourself that you're choosing a higher path. A lot of times this is real and great and the right way. More often it's just a long, well-lit version of the same judgment. They are not worth me. They do not deserve me. This is your ego. This is just your ego. The third outcome, and what most men think that they're aiming for, is slightly better. You date again, you're cautious but not closed. You believe that you've learned something. You probably have. And then 5 years later, you realize the things that you've learned are really just refined preferences for women that can't hurt you. At least not the way the last one did. Basically, the judging apparatus updated its weights. It didn't retire. And then there's the fourth outcome, which is the only one this video is really about. The man who came out the other side without bitterness, without contempt, without a treadmill of resentment, the red pill treadmill, without a worldview built around the inadequacy of women. This man is rare, probably 1 in a million. He is rare because the only way to arrive at this state is to let the ego that has been judging women die. The ego does not consent to die on any timeline shorter than several catastrophic losses. Look, the breakup, maybe the one that you are inside of right now, the one that is breaking you, it's probably not going to do it by itself. The man who comes out the other side of this kind of thing genuinely free has been through it several times. Not because he was stupid and kept picking the wrong woman, but because he kept staying open after losing instead of armoring. And the cumulative weight of staying open across many endings is what eventually exhausts the ego enough for it to give up. Here's the part that may matter for you. This breakup can be the first one that counts. Most men have already had enough breakups to get here. They just numbed every single one of them. They drank through the first, they fucked through the second, they swore off the third, they built the business through the fourth, they don't even remember the fifth. They arrived at 20 of these breakups, a long romantic history, and no real metabolized loss. You need a critical mass of this experience of breakup to arrive at ego death. But the critical mass is not some future event, it is a unprocessed backlog. Whether this is your first ending or your 10th, the question is whether you let it land instead of running from it like the others. The instinct most men have around female purity, the preference for women with fewer past partners, the unease around promiscuity, the gut level discomfort with a woman's sexual history, this instinct is real evolutionary equipment. It's not invented. It's not a moral failing on your part. It is a paternity fraud defense, and it has been refined over hundreds of thousands of years of selection. The men who did not have it routinely raised children that were not theirs and watched their genetic line vanish. The men who did have it survived to pass it down, and you inherited it. I'm telling you this because what we're about to do is not a request that you flatten or apologize for this part of your biology. No. We're going to keep the biology. What we're going to do is look at what your ego did with this biology, because what feels like your preference is, in almost every man, something else entirely. So you inherited this real signal, a preference toward lower promiscuity women for valid evolutionary reasons. Underneath that signal, in your wiring, sits a secondary and much louder system, the fear of being hurt, the accumulated fear of every previous ending. Every time a woman injured you, every time you allowed her to injure you. Notice how I worded that. Allowed, because the second system is what your nervous system built to make sure that you never permit it again. Your ego now does the work of fusing these two systems into one. It takes your biological signal, the preference for lower promiscuity women that has been passed down by selection, and it welds your fear directly onto it. You experience the result as a single feeling. You think you are responding to her sexual history. Most of what you're responding to is the threat model that your ego has built out of every one of your prior injuries. So the ego is the welder, and this is the part of you that takes a real preference and converts it into a verdict. The preference is biology, the verdict is the ego. Promiscuity grading is your ego. The instant ranking of women by sexual history is your ego. The contempt towards the women who slept with the wrong number of men, this is your ego. The disgust is your ego. All of it is the same psychic structure doing the same single job, which is to keep you from ever being in the room you were in the night that you got injured. The cost is enormous. Every woman you meet from this point forward is graded through this ego's apparatus. You tell yourself you are being discerning, but you are being afraid. Discernment lets you see her clearly, and fear builds a verdict before she was finished talking. So here's what eventually happens to the man who lets the breakups land and lets his ego get closer to dying. He starts to notice slowly that every woman who has ever hurt him in only slightly different ways. The first lied, the second went cold, the third drifted, the fourth was cruel about it, the fifth was kind about it, which somehow hurt more, the sixth he never quite understood at all. Different surfaces, different presenting symptoms, different recipes. And then one day, quietly, usually while doing something completely unrelated, he sees it. He sees that all of these women were expressing the same underlying thing in different formats. The way that umami is one flavor, whether it comes from mushrooms or aged cheese or seared meat or fish sauce, completely different ingredients, different dishes, the same fundamental taste underneath. He realizes that he has been mistaking the recipe for the flavor. The recipe is nurture, the way that she was raised, what her father did or didn't do, what her mother modeled, what her last boyfriend taught her, what her culture trained into her. The recipe is where every woman differs. But the underlying flavor, the category of behavior that she is capable of in the right conditions, the shape of how she will hurt you, the topology of her capacity for both devotion and cruelty, the flavor is the same in every woman who has ever lived. The recipe changes, the flavor does not. The moment that you see this, your ego feels a little foolish because your ego has been employed full-time as this sorter, right? It exists to grade women, to rank them, to distinguish the dangerous ones from the safe ones, to build a hierarchy of which kinds of women should be loved and which should not. This umami recognition retires the sorter. There's nothing left to grade. Categories collapse into one category. The hierarchy folds into this single observation. The ego, having spent the entire man's life sorting women into types, finds itself with no work to do. It comes from this one understanding. The woman who cannot hurt you is a woman that is incapable of loving you. The two capacities are the same capacity in two different lights. Look, if you've watched my content for any length of time, you've probably noticed something specific. I don't really judge women. I write about them. I roast them. I describe their behavior. I talk about female nature in really stark and absolutist terms, but if you watch closely, there's no real contempt in any of it. I do not sort them into worthy or unworthy. I do not have a hierarchy of which kinds of women deserve my time. I do not get on camera and tell you to avoid the ones who hit the wall or the ones with body counts above some certain fucking number or No. The reason is not because I'm more enlightened than you. The reason is that I went through exactly what I'm describing in this video several fucking times. Long enough ago that most of the residue is gone. I see women as one category with nuances that come from how each one of them was raised, rather than from what each one of them fundamentally somehow is. The recipe changes from woman to woman. The flavor doesn't. That is the state that I'm describing in this video. I'm telling you that this state is available to all men. It's not exotic or enlightened. It's just on the other side of a thing that almost every man refuses to walk all the way through, as ego death. I have a piece of science here that'll help you understand why this process is so hard and it takes so long. So when your long-term partner leaves you, your brain does not register it as some social event. It registers it as a physical injury. The same neural regions that fire when you break a bone fire when you get dumped. Lieberman demonstrated this almost 20 years ago. Social rejection lights up the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, exactly the way physical pain does. Your brain is reading the loss accurately as wounding, and then Tylenol did some studies that show that acetaminophen measurably reduces emotional pain because the wound is physical as far as the brain is concerned. It thinks it's physical. Separately, there is co-regulation, the slow, years-long process by which your nervous system outsources a large fraction of its threat regulation to her presence, her smell, her voice on the phone, her body next to yours. When she leaves, you lose the regulation as a piece of equipment. Your baseline anxiety floor rises, your sleep collapses, your appetite goes away. None of this is weakness. You had an autonomic prosthetic and it walked out the door. And your unsupported nervous system is now trying to do work it has not done unaided in years. I'm telling you this so you can understand the pain is not optional. The timeline is not negotiable. You are healing from a wound. Wounds heal on a clock the wound chooses, not the clock that you choose. The ego death I am describing does not happen inside of this wound, it happens after, oftentimes years after. Once the nervous system has rebuilt and you can finally see clearly what happened to you and what came before it. I want to name the actual force underneath everything that we've been discussing, because if you don't see it, none of the rest of this is going to land properly. It's jealousy. All of it. The bitterness, the contempt, the judgment, the theory of female nature posturing, the standards, the body count math, the disgust towards promiscuous women, the entire intellectual apparatus that men in pain build to explain what happened to them. Every piece of this is jealousy. We have been culturally trained to not recognize this. The word jealousy has narrowed to mean the irrational feeling that your current partner is cheating on you. And the narrowing has been useful to a part of you that does not want to be exposed. The actual phenomenon is much larger. Jealousy is the nervous system's response to the loss or threat of loss. The loss of exclusive access to something it had been attached to. Anything. A woman, a status, a possession, an idea. The signal fires when access disappears, or when it appears that someone else has it. That is what the word means at the level of your central nervous system. Apply that to a man in post-breakup. He has had exclusive access to her. He doesn't anymore. Someone else now does, or will, or could. His nervous system is firing the jealousy signal at full volume. The signal doesn't stop just because she's gone. The signal generalizes. It moves from she might be giving herself to someone else, which is real and acute, to she is giving herself to someone else, which is probable, to women like her give themselves to other men all the time, which is true at scale. Then it goes to all women, given the chance, will give themselves to other men, which means I will never have exclusive access to one again, which means the entire enterprise of pair bonding is a trap. The signal expanded from a specific loss into a worldview, and every node in the expansion is the same signal firing, just at progressively wider targets. This is what every theory of female nature actually is, in almost every man who builds one. It's jealousy at scale. The man is not analyzing women, he is articulating his nervous system's grievance with the fact that he cannot control access to female sexuality, which he never could, but which the breakup has just freshly demonstrated that he cannot. The body count rule is jealousy. I cannot tolerate that other men had her before I did. I will refuse any woman who has had any. Jealousy. The contempt toward promiscuous women is jealousy. She gave to others what I am now denied, and I cannot have her be celebrated for it, so I'll call her cheap. She chose better than me, and I want a framework that makes her choice into a defect rather than a preference. Jealousy. The I have standards posture is jealousy preemptively dressed up as discernment. I will reject her before she rejects me, and I will use her past to justify the rejection. This is jealousy. This is your ego. Every one of these is the same signal firing. It's your ego. The reason most men never escape this is that the signal feels like clarity. It feels like seeing. It feels like waking up. A man inside this jealousy genuinely experiences it as having figured something out about women that other men may not have. So, the man who comes through this, the man who gets over this jealousy, the one in a million, it's not a softer man in the way that you might think. He's not gentle. He's not deferential. He's not healed. He still wants the same shit you want. He still has the same biology you have. He still feels the pull towards purity in a long-term partner. He still feels the bite of betrayal when it happens. He still notices the patterns in female behavior that the bitter men are correctly describing. The difference is that he is no longer afraid of any of it. Let me repeat that. He is no longer afraid of any of it. The apparatus that was afraid, the ego, the sorter, the judge, has been retired. He sees what he sees with no charge on it, no emotional charge. He chooses what he chooses without grading. He loves the woman he loves without secretly auditing her for the specific way she may hurt him, because he already knows she will hurt him. What he has come to know is that every woman that is capable of loving him has to be capable of hurting him. That knowledge does not threaten him anymore. This man is unbearable to certain kind of women. She can't get a grip on him. He's gravitational to a different kind of women because she has never been around someone who clearly sees her for who she is and chooses her anyway. Most men get worse after breakups because most men are doing everything they can to keep their ego still alive through the loss. They drink, they fight, they fuck around, they build their body, they read the books, they swear women off, get angry, they get bitter, they theorize. All of this is the same single thing in a different format. It's the ego refusing to die. The 1 in a million doesn't have a trick. Somewhere along the line, he just stopped trying to recover. He stopped trying to get over it. He let one ending, and then another, finally arrive in his body and dissolve the part of him. This is the same part of him that was judging women. He let the judge die. The judge was the only thing standing between him and her, between him and any woman. The difference between this guy, which I identify as, and most guys, is that I'm not afraid of being hurt by women. I can easily do what I want. The lack of this fear, because I understand that I will be hurt by women. I understand it. I find it kind of beautiful that I can still be hurt, that I'm not dead inside. A lot of guys think that they can't even be hurt anymore. This is not their ego being dead. No, this is their ego being almost fucking invincible. They can't be hurt because their ego will not allow it. Once your ego is gone, you stop looking at women the same. You start seeing them for the way that they are, and you stop taking it so fucking personally. You stop taking it personally at all. So with this judgment gone, women really pick up on this. Women really sense it. They don't see it as like, oh, he'll just let me do whatever I want. No, they'll see it as this guy has ascended from this fear. They'll see it as courage. They'll see it as a lack of fear. They'll see it for what it is, which is fear has retreated from you. That's what they'll see it as. I'm not here to tell you to change your standards. I'm not here to tell you to marry a fucking whore. I'm not here to tell you much of anything except for you should examine where these standards, this disgust of promiscuous women, you need to examine where this is coming from, because I'm telling you right now, it's coming from a place of jealousy and fear. The less fear you have, the better your life will be. So there's something that you guys might not be seeing here. There's some dots you might not be connecting. So the pimp feels the same way. The pimp does not have any fear or jealousy about the fact that women are hoes. He can love hoes because he is unafraid. He understands that he can be hurt by women, and he does not have this ego around the judgment of women. He understands women. And what do women do with pimps? The hoes, even the most promiscuous women that men are afraid of being hurt by, those women fall in love with the pimp. So what you need to understand is that all women have hoe in their nature. Every woman can be a hoe. This ego death that leads to no more fear around a woman's promiscuous past or nature, the understanding of nature, this will lead to all women, since all women have the capacity to be a hoe, this will lead to all women looking at you and feeling favorably about you.